Hello, this is Blaine McCormick from the Baylor Business School with the second part of the Annotated Fast Track video series. Part 1's on this same channel if you want to see it. It deals with pages 1 through 4 of the Fast Track. This part deals with page 5 through 9 of the Fast Track. And let's jump in. I'm going to compare and contrast page 5 and 6 here. Page 5 is the low-tech and the Foundation Fast Track. Page 6 is the high-tech market analysis and the Foundation Fast Track, and just some things that change on every one. My eye always goes to did demand get met for that segment, and in both of these situations in round 3, sales met demand or supply equaled demand, and so that was a good thing, or supply met demand, and that's a good thing. Then I look at the growth rate to plan for next year. Again, this is 2014. I can plan for 2015 with next year's segment growth rate. And then the ideal positions always changing up, and so I look at the ideal position as it goes, changes and goes and goes round to round, and so that one's always going to change too. And then over here at the top right hand side is accessibility metrics. You can get those at the bottom too, but this is a graphical one. You can just see real quickly how accessible your products are. I'll just say, compare Ferris in the low tech is slightly more accessible than Ferris in the high tech on their products, and that may be a function of how much they're spending on their product budget down there. But yet, you can just see some differences there. The middle part of the page 5 is the perceptual map for low tech and actual and potential market share there. And I'll just kind of flip back and forth and compare that to high tech. You can see, low tech lags, high tech is further down on, smaller size, stronger performance. You can see how the product mix changes on the low tech and high tech as we switch back and forth. And then in low tech, you can see over here on actual and potential market share, nobody stocked out, so actual and potential market share was one and the same thing. But in high tech, we had people stocking out. And so you see some variance here in actual and potential market share. We'll say more about that as we get to page 7 of the Fast Track, looking at actual and potential market share as we go through there. But compare and contrast those two between the high and the low tech. At the bottom of page 5 and 6, you've got the top products in low tech and high tech. It only shows you the top 10 or 12 products. It always, as products stack up in there, it won't show you all the products, so you may not see your product listed if it's too far down the sales chain. But just a ton of great information here. What do I go to? Well, I want to find my products. Again, I'm pretending to be Team Andrews here, and so I spot my 2 products there, Able in the low tech, Alex in the high tech, and I see I'm not ranked number 1. I'm not ranked number 1 because of I'm competitive, but my customer survey score is a little bit lower, so you can see everybody else. But here, this is a tragedy. I'm very well liked, and there's a reason I didn't get to number 1, and it's because I stocked out. I didn't make enough Alex there, for better or for worse, and so that was a little bit of a tragedy there. So I start doing some basic diagnostics there, and then I look at the top 3. I always look at the top 3, top 2, or top 3. And I ask myself the question here, how can I get into the top 3? What needs to change about my product? And so if I can look here, I can say, well, I can improve my customer satisfaction. It looks like I'm priced a little high, and it looks like I'm a little young. It looks like this product moved up because it was a better age, and these 2 products moved up because they're a better price than I am. And so those basic diagnostics there really, really help on determining, how can I move up? Sometimes it's a stock out, sometimes it's a matter of product characteristics, but what needs to change to get me in there? One last thing to look at, and on page 5 and 6, is the only place you can see it is the promo budget for each product and what kind of awareness is being built there. We're aiming for 100% awareness if you want to. You can see here in these columns how people are spending in their promo budget and what kind of customer awareness that they're getting there. On to page 7 of the Fast Track. It's the market share report and actual and potential market shares. But at the top, you can see this is kind of a boring one because unit sales, supply met demand, and so these bars are going to be the same. I'll show you a difference there. You can also see the market share for each team on high tech versus low tech. Baldwin is selling mainly in the high tech here. Digby is selling mainly in the low tech. And so you can see the product mix or the segment mix there across the firms. And here's a different industry. This is industry 45621, and here's a slightly different industry here. And you can see, here's one where sales did not eat demand. There was more demand than sales there, and so there's a market opportunity for somebody. And it's just in low tech, you can quickly see, hey, they ran out of product. Maybe there's a market opportunity for me here. And you can see some other things. If we look at a different industry, you can say, hey, Erie, look at them. They sold every one of their products in high tech. That's kind of an interesting thing to note there. The bottom of page 7 compares actual versus potential market share. And again, I'm going to do this with my products in from the previous page. If I'm Team Andrews, I look at Alex in high tech, which if you remember stocked out. And so my actual market share for Alex in high tech was 8.1%. But potentially I could have had 20%, almost 20% of the market, just as a potential calculation here. And so that's just a real tragedy there. I didn't make enough for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't have enough capacity. Maybe I gave a bad forecast on that. But that is a lot of lost sales. And who got that? Product Bruce got it. Bruce potentially could have had 19% of the market, but they ended up with 26%. Because I stocked out and gave that to them. And so I gave Team Baldwin, a big boost there. And so you can read this part of the Fast Track and kick yourself on who you helped the most in there. Page 8 is just a very big, detailed perceptual map of all the segments at year's end, and so it's nice and detailed and bigger than the ones on page 5 and 6. So you can see how the products are spread out across the two market segments and exactly their positions at the end of the year. If you want to, plot and look at things here, it's a good time to remind people, where the ideal spots are and how products are lining up versus those. Remember, in the low tech segment, the ideal spot's right there in the middle. The high tech segment, it's at the front edge there, or lower right hand corner of the high tech segment. You can see, just kind of compare where your products fit or land versus the ideal spots, and that helps you understand some things about positioning there. Page 9 of the Fast Track is the HR and TQM report. HR usually goes live in round 2. Several things to note here. The two things that you'll be watching for balanced scorecard points are your turnover rate and your productivity index. And you'll want to minimize turnover and maximize your productivity. And you do that by spending on recruiting and training. You can see that Chester's not spending very much on recruiting, and Erie's spending a lot more on recruiting, but they're both spending the same amount on their training hours there. Only Team Baldwin is training less than the other ones. And so you'll see some variance there. This is what some of your HR decisions here, and these are your HR outcomes. One other HR decision you have is your workforce complement here. This really matters on your recap score. If you want to reduce the number of employees that you use, you get higher sales and productivity per employee. That's up to you if you want to do that. But most people match their complement to the needed complement there in HR and TQM. This is round 3. The bottom of page 9 is the TQM report. For round 3, TQM isn't on yet, so nobody's spending any money and there's no cumulative impacts there. But I'll jump to round 5, and once TQM comes on, there are several things to note. The outcomes is where I'll start. Down here at the bottom, the cumulative impacts, you can see, reduction or increase, demand increase, or material cost reduction here across all 6 firms. And this is kind of where my eye goes to see how I'm competing versus my peers. I'll just say, here's the decisions that you make on your TQM. You can see these firms all spent the same amount on TQM, and they have the same outcomes here. Digby spent more, and you can see they have more demand increase and some different reductions here. They reduced cycle time on R&D a little more here. And Ferris spent a lot less, and you can see they have a lot less material cost reduction and a lot less demand increase there. And so the more you spend, the better the impact. The less you spend, the worse the impact. So that's the end of page 9. So 2-part series. I hope it's useful in helping you navigate the Fast Track. There's a lot more in the Fast Track than I talked about there, but this gives you at least the lay of the land and the chance to dig a little deeper in your online resources as you play Foundation. Good luck, and I hope it helps.